Welcome to the Golf Report podcast. I'm joined by Jess Niemiec, the head women's golf coach at Davenport University. Coach, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. So can you tell me a little bit about Davenport University?
Yeah, so Davenport is one of the largest private and nonprofit universities in Michigan. So we have several campuses around Michigan, and then we have an online global campus as well. So that's when a lot of people think Davenport, they think about the online campus. But we do have a main campus in Grand Rapids. We have, a ton of degree programs. We're mostly in like business, technology, health sciences, and then we just added like urban education, some cool degrees that maybe other schools don't have. Athletically, we're a member of the GLIAC conference. That is a Midwestern conference, NCAA Division II. We have 22 total varsity teams. We have some emerging sports in there as well. And then we have, non-varsity as well. And we're just constantly growing academically and athletically. It's an awesome school to be a part of.
Yeah. So you're in your first season as the head women's golf coach at Davenport. Just tell me, how has your first season been, and how have things been going, and what have you learned so far, being head coach, throughout the fall season?
Yeah, it's definitely been a learning and growing process coming from, a player to assistant coach and then just getting right in there as head coach. We added 8 new players this year, so we were expanding our roster as well. So just a lot of moving and shaking for the whole team. So a lot of the learning was just about how to manage more players on our roster, and then just kind of learning the ropes, which, Melanie, the previous head coach, has been extremely a great mentor for me, to be able to learn all those things. And I think this season has gone great. We our program history, we have our 311 team average so far, which is just smashing it out of the park for what we were kind of wanting. We have 6 players averaging under 80, which helps with that. Obviously, we're still not completely satisfied. That's not our top notch. So just feeling like we left some shots out there this fall and everything. It just shows how we've progressed as a program. And I really can't take a lot of the credit for it. I mean, it's the players on the team, it's their self-initiative, it's all of them, and I'm just here as kind of their support system, their, guide whenever they're kind of lost. So I give 100% of the credit to them, especially, just seeing how the program's grown from being a player on it has been amazing.
Yeah. So you attended and played, college golf at Davenport, which we'll talk about, throughout this interview, but you became the head coach over the summer. So what did it mean to you, when you became the head coach over the summer? And just tell me, how special Davenport is to you and how special it is to, be the head coach for the women's golf program at Davenport.
Yeah, it's honestly incredible. It's pretty special to be able to take over from your previous head coach to, coach the team you were once a part of. I feel like it provides a unique coaching, experience from a player's point of view. Knowing that your coach was where they are, it's a, pretty cool thing. Melanie, she's worked pretty hard to build it up to what it is today, and what it continues to be. And we're both super passionate about making just the student athlete experience super awesome. I had a great experience and I want to be able to give back, and continue that for them. So it's a pretty special thing to be able to learn from Melanie, not only as a student athlete on her team, but also now as a peer and having her as a mentor. I'm just honored to be able to continue to learn from her, honestly.
Yeah. You're just answering my next question, but just tell me about your time, being an assistant coach, because you were an assistant coach, prior to becoming a head coach, and just tell me, what did you learn from being an assistant coach, to Melanie?
It was definitely a learning curve coming from, I had not previously been, a coach in like a coaching aspect. I'd run some camps and stuff, but having your own team, I
Mhm.
had my previous assistant coaches to look up to, but I didn't really know how I was going to be as a coach. So a lot of last year was just discovering kind of my coaching style, my strengths, my weaknesses, what I needed to work on, what I really can bring to the table as far as value as a coach and connection with the players. So it was a really formative year in that aspect, especially because I came on as the head coach this year. So I've already had those bonds with those players that were on the team previously, where I was able to build those over last year and just kind of soak in all the information, all the knowledge I could get in preparation for this year. It was really good, almost like a preview to becoming the head coach.
Yeah. Now you have an assistant coach yourself, Kelsey Malone. So tell me a little bit about Kelsey. She was a member of the Davenport, women's golf team. This is her first season as assistant coach. Just tell me about, Kelsey and you know, her role and duty to help you as head coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelsey and I played on the team together as well. And then
Mhm.
I actually was her assistant coach for the last year. So it was a cool building block just to add her to the program as well, add her
Mhm.
back, I should say, to the program. She's extremely supportive. She always thinks about the team first, as far as attitude, as far as effort, as far as encouragement, and just setting initiatives for the players. She's extremely helpful in that regard. It helps to have someone who's maybe a little bit more on their level as well, as far as she's been on the team with them. She's made those connections already, and being able to utilize those relationships that already existed, it has been really helpful as well. And
Yeah.
we're kind of yin and yang. She everything that maybe a strength for me. She brings me up on my weaknesses, and I do the same thing for her. So we work really well together, and just it's exciting to be in a new realm with someone that I already knew.
Yeah. So we're in the winter now, it's December. Here in Connecticut, we have snow in the forecast, gonna be, high in the 20s. So, you're also in Michigan. So, playing outside, you can't play all year round, probably in Michigan outside. So what are some of the things your team works on, throughout the winter, being in Michigan?
Yeah, so in the winter time, it's a really big question always, what can you do?
Yeah.
You make it
Mhm.
work, right? So we have our student activity center on campus. We have a simulator that we utilize. We're able to play courses on there, get some swing stats and just get those full swings, those reps in. And then we also have our turf room. So
Okay.
it has putting, chipping. It typically rolls at about a 10. So it's pretty accurate to an average green that we would see. So that keeps our short game really tight over the winter as well. And just gives us an extra space to practice versus, rolling out mats on a gym floor and, all those things we used to do. Now we have an actual room that's specifically for our players. And that and the simulator is available to them anytime the student center is open. So it doesn't just have to be for team use either. It's for them to go practice on their own as well. And then we also use, our gym space to still set up some drills, use, mats and targets and all sorts of things like that. Make it fun. Still have some fun. We do some competitions and, virtual Ryder Cups and stuff, but still make it worthwhile, especially, getting through the long off season where you can't get outside and you're just itching to get on a golf course. Well, we can't really do that here. So we also throw in some workouts. So that's when we do most of our mobility training. We have a strength and conditioning coach on our strength and conditioning team that works with us to do golf specific training, a lot of mobility, a lot of stretching, just making sure our bodies are getting ready for the spring season, our championship season. So and we do those as a team over the off season, but during the year, the girls all do it together or individually as well as it continues. So it sets that tone and then they continue it on.
Yeah. So right now, college golf, you have the fall season where you play like September and October, then you get a 3 month break, November, December, and January. And
Mhm.
your team will pick it up in South Carolina in February. But just for you as coach, what's it like for your team to have a 3 month break from college golf tournaments, and then pick it up in February in South Carolina? Just what's it like, to have the 3 months uh to get a break, from college golf?
Yeah, I think honestly, the break is really important. And we try to prioritize, that's their time that they get. It's kind of like having, a week off of work where you're like, okay, I can relax. I just did this whole intense project. They're constantly playing, constantly practicing. We're traveling. They don't get a lot of weekends back to themselves. So having the break is really important because it helps us reset, not only mentally but physically as well. Overuse injuries are a big, big problem in golf. Just the nature of the sport. Um, oh, sorry, my lights went off. Um, so overuse injuries are a huge thing, and so it just helps prevent those and helps us kind of nurse some of those back to health. If someone discovers they have ache or pain, they have that time to recover. It helps avoid the burnout as well. If you're just constantly going and going and going, you may lose some of that love for the sport or just kind of get mentally drained. And so we do a lot of relaxation and recovery, along with our general workouts and everything like that. We try to throw in some team bonding, make it like kind of our fun off season. That way, when it gets to the actual tournament schedule again, we're ready to you know get down to business versus you know bonding and having fun. So they get a little bit more time back in their schedule, and that's really important for their success.
Yeah. So let's talk about your team's fall season. I think it was a pretty good fall season. Four third place finishes and a second place finish. So overall, just how would you assess your team's fall season? And for you, this was your first season as head coach. So how was the fall season for you as head coach?
Yeah, I honestly couldn't ask for a better fall season from the team. Like I said, we have the six players under 80. Our team average so far, we're four strokes better than last season already. Obviously we still left some shots out there. As you can see, there's not a first place finish on there. So, there were some, opportunities there that, may have slipped away from us. But at the same time, I think it shows that uh, we've progressed as a program so far to say that, hey, we're still not completely satisfied with, I think we only had one fourth place and the rest, top three finishes. I'm never going to complain. So everybody played super hard and worked super hard over the season, especially with eight new freshmen coming in. That's a really big task, and it's a big transition for them as well. So seeing the team come together cohesively and just gel together and have a good team culture and atmosphere, that's honestly the main goal, and the actual success on the golf course comes from that. We were all working as one versus individuals, which is kind of counterintuitive at golf, but with a golf team, it's important to balance those. And I think we did a really great job of that in the fall. So I'm excited to see how we do it in the spring.
Yeah. A notable tournament from your team's fall season was your home tournament, the Davenport Panther Invitational. You hosted it at Stonehenge North Golf Course. So just tell me about that, your home tournament, and then freshman Vanita Chap finished second individually. So tell me about her, second place individual finish in that tournament.
Yeah. Our home tournament is one of our favorites. We're a little biased, I guess, but it's on one of our favorite courses, Stonehenge North. So all of our team records, the 18, 36, and 54 hole team records are all now held at Stonehenge North. So clearly we love that course. Um, it was awesome to see a freshman, like Venetia, come and show what she can really do. She had a couple of rounds during the season. I could tell. I mean, she wasn't happy with them, and to see her kind of overcome that and finally break out and play like she knows she can in this tournament. It was a really big confidence boost for her and for the team. It's awesome to see one of your teammates, set their own personal record in college and then set also one of our program records. She had our first sub 70 round in program history, so
Okay.
that can never be done again. So that's a pretty cool experience for her, and for her teammates, and obviously for me as well. I can take really no credit besides, bringing the snacks around and making sure she's still out there going strong. So, but it's a really awesome place to host. We host both men's and the women's tournaments over there on the Gull Lake courses. So it's sort of a preview event for our conference championship that's also held there. So we have a lot of great teams that come out, give us some competition, within our conference as well. Kind of, it's cool to see them. But sometimes we don't see them at some other tournaments. So there's a lot of people from our conference come in, and it's kind of like a little family reunion. Um, the courses are like really well maintained every year. We've had some pretty torrential downpours, and they've maintained it all impeccably. And the lodging is right on site. So, I mean, there's really nothing to complain about. Their staff is great there. They work with us every year. And it's a really, really great facility. Um, to be able to just bring everybody to. It's rare you get to bring your whole team. So it's a really fun time for everybody.
Yeah, so this was your first experience as head coach, hosting your home tournament. So, for that week, what was your experience like, being both a tournament host and, a head coach, how was that experience for you and how did you balance, being a tournament host and, head coach that week?
Yeah, it was definitely daunting. It helped to have Melanie, who has done this before, be there and help out and assist in that respect as well. But it was definitely a different experience having to prepare not only for my team, but for all the teams and making sure, the tournament packets are there when we get there. We had to get there early. We had to make all these preparations. I've never given a speech before on a practice green, so that was something I learned I needed to work on my projection the first day. There's like little caveats, things like that you don't realize with hosting a tournament, and then just making sure that not only during the day was I available for my players, which Kelsey, my assistant, was extremely helpful with as well. Having an extra person out there to help out and be there for them as well. But also make sure that the tournament's running smoothly. And if there are decisions about, weather or certain, rulings that need to be made, that I'm available for that too. So it was definitely an interesting experience, but it wasn't difficult because I had, a bunch of people behind me, a bunch of people helping me out with it. So um, it was a really cool experience to see from that side. It's you attend all these tournaments, you don't see what goes on behind the scenes. So it was a good thing, I think, to just kind of dive headfirst into instead of kind of shying away.
Yeah. And Stonehenge North, is that your team's home course? Or do you
Technically
just play there?
speaking,
Or you just
we
play there a
play
lot?
there. Yeah, we just tend to play there a lot.
Okay.
Like I said, conference championship.
Yeah.
Um, every single year,
Okay.
we play rounds there, but then we decided to host our home tournament there too because it was so awesome. And so now we play there twice a year. And we play well there. So it's a great course.
Mhm.
Highly
Yeah.
recommend.
So tell me about your conference, the GLIAC, and tell me about, your conference championship getting hosted at Stonehenge North, each year.
Yeah, absolutely. The GLIAC's, the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. It's the right amount of letters. So I've been around for about 50 years. I think we're running into our 50th year here. And it's a Midwestern conference. Got schools from Michigan. Let's see, we got Illinois, Indiana, and then Wisconsin as well. So we're kind of right all in the same states, all the cold states. So our GLIAC Championship, it's an excellent event to end our regular season with. It's super awesome to be in a competitive conference. You've got schools like Grand Valley, Ferris, constantly in competition with them. We have a great friendly rivalry with Grand Valley, so it's awesome to see them. We always try our best to be able to be in match play with them, so we can kind of play off that banter a little bit. But it's a great event to end our regular season with, to see everybody. There's two different formats. So you've got the stroke play for two rounds in the beginning, and then it goes down to the medal match play, which is awesome for the girls to be able to experience that in a competitive environment. A lot of summer tournaments you don't see match play, or you don't see medal match play. So it's cool to be able to talk through that with them and kind of talk strategies and play the two different formats versus just regular old tournament to end the season.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, your team will begin its spring season in February in South Carolina. So just tell me about, beginning your team's spring season in February in South Carolina. And then in terms of the spring season, what do you see as the potential for your team, for the spring season?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically our main goal is to maintain our team average, but still be competitive in every tournament. So spring UC scores typically from Midwestern schools are sometimes a little bit higher in the first few tournaments. So our goal going into the spring break tournament is to maintain our team average, and just start to prepare for that conference championship and get the feeling for being back outside on a course again. So that's one of the reasons we travel. One of the reasons we go to some of the warmer states. We've gone to Hilton Head a lot. We've been to our spring break tournament this year before, so it'll be cool to go back and be able to know the course. And actually, that's how a lot of our spring season is. We have a pretty consistent schedule. We added a couple new tournaments in here this year, but most of our schedule stays pretty stagnant. So it's cool to be able to go back to those courses and bring that knowledge back with us, and that gives us a little bit of an edge over that, getting back outside kind of dredge into the spring. Um, One of the things is that kind of an opportunity for us as a program is cleaning up our round ones. So we typically struggle in round one, and we are great comeback kids. We settle in a little bit. Sorry. We settle in a little bit, and we come back round two. But if we got that great round one score as well, that in combination, we'll see a little bit more success there. So just figuring that out, kind of ironing that out. That's been kind of a program played for a while for us. So it'll be cool to start working on that a little bit more in the spring as well. And like I said, I'm just excited to go back to the courses that we know and that we love. They're well-run tournaments. We see competitive teams. It's cool to be able to play with, the girls get to play with people that one they've never been with before, or players that they know, and they're excited to play with. So it's a little bit more comfortable as well.
Yeah. So being in Michigan, you're mostly doing, indoor practice throughout the winter, and then, in February you go play outdoors, in South Carolina. So you've seen it both as, a coach and as a player, but, being in Michigan and then, going like, down south, to play outdoors, to start your spring season. How was the adjustment for you, as a player, and just, how have you seen the adjustment been for your players, as a coach?
The adjustment for me was not too bad. Usually I was a pretty good,
Yeah.
going from turf to
Because I know,
actual grass.
going from indoors to outdoors, a lot of times some players struggle with, the short game because, sometimes you don't get to practice that, indoors.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I would say short game is the main area that
Mhm.
we spend a lot of time on, especially in those first couple of days. We go down, a day or two early to just get out and get some practice in outside. It's different types of grass too. We've just come from winter coats to now we're in tank tops. There's a lot of different adjustments happening. And yeah, I honestly, the short game is the biggest area of opportunity. You can hit on a simulator all you want. You can putt in even in our turf room. That was a huge add for us, and that definitely helped us prepare a little bit more. I mean, when I was on the team, and I'm incredibly grateful for the experience. But just to compare, we were in a gym with rollout putting mats that you would use like in your basement and stuff. And that worked for us. But once we got that turf room and we were able to utilize that, and then the simulator, a lot of those tools helps the transition not be so harsh. I think as a team we're pretty well adjusted as far as we can kind of go with the flow. That's kind of our team environment this year. So I think as far as getting used to it down there, I think 1 or 2 days and we'll be ready to go, just with our off-season regiment. But it is an adjustment, and it is something that we talk about on the way down, when we're waiting in the airport, or
Yeah.
as we're practicing that first day, is focusing on those areas that, okay, we know that this is going to be definitely an adjustment. You can you can hit a driver all day, but yeah, when it gets down to the putting and the chipping, especially, on a new course, that's where it's tough.
Yeah. So I saw, your team has both a red and a black schedule. So tell me about, having a red and black schedule. And I believe one of your schedules is for, JV. So just tell me about giving the opportunity for other players, to get to play in some tournaments.
Yeah, the red and the black schedule is kind of a newer thing that we're doing.
Okay.
And it's something that I'm seeing more often now. But it basically allows us to provide more opportunities for players who may not be in that traveling squad or still developing to play. And it gives them the opportunity to play in competitive collegiate events versus just kind of being like on a quote unquote practice squad. So with like baseball and sports like that, where you have a team and everybody's going out, on the field together, it's a little bit easier to feel included and involved in your team. But I personally think that giving every single person on the team an opportunity to play in a tournament is very, very important. It's something that I've identified just by talking to recruits, by talking to people up and coming in the sport, what they're worried about for college experience. And it's a big decisive factor in actually developing a player as well. What I'm seeing from feedback from the past couple of years we've done this, it helps alleviate some of those difficulties of transitioning from a high school golfer to a college golfer. Um, Something that's easily forgotten about is maybe they don't have the same high school experience as this other player on your team that's phenomenal. Maybe they don't have a coach. I mean, I played with someone, my former roommate, she was the only person on her high school golf team at
Mhm.
all, one person. So you don't really get that experience of going to tournaments with your team, experiencing that. So that's a really big hurdle to get over, and that kind of helps smooth that out a little bit. And then it just provides more equitable playing time and more opportunities to grow rather than just trying to show that at practice. It's a different environment to be on a in a competitive tournament than playing with your teammates and your friends. So just being able to provide that for them is awesome, and it doesn't take away from our regular schedule at all.
Yeah.
It just adds more opportunities, which is awesome.
Yeah. So last season, your team played in the national championship, the Division II national championship for the first time, in program history. So just tell me about your team, getting to play in the national championship last year, and what did it mean for your program overall, to play in the national championship for the first time, in program history, last season.
Yeah, it was I mean, it was something that we didn't really expect. As that might sound bad, but when we were going into regionals, we were just thrilled to be at regionals. That was our first regionals experience that year as well, as a team. We had an individual go before, but as a team, we made it. So we were just excited to be there. And then as we kind of went along in regionals, we were like, oh, we could do this. Like we can actually make it. So it was kind of a whirlwind of an experience to even get to nationals. And then Melanie, our coach, was named GLIAC Coach of the Year for our conference. And it was her last year coaching. So it was all in all, just a really emotional experience, learning that we were going. I mean, there's a video of, I mean, other teams were crying. Everybody was so excited. And we had girls with flights already scheduled back home, overseas. So we had to figure out all the travel, real quick. But it was an incredible experience at nationals, arriving and just feeling like VIPs almost. There was signage everywhere. They really made sure to make it super special. Because you do stay over from school. So, for 1 to 2 weeks, you're here, you're on your school's campus, or we had them, they were allowed to like go home and stuff, if they wanted to. But, we had girls on campus staying over where they could be home with their families. So it was awesome to be able to provide them with that experience and that it seemed like the NCAA understood that, like, hey, this is extra. You're doing extra to be here, so that's awesome. It was like a beautiful host facility. They had tons of stuff to do. Um, extremely talented field. We didn't have any expectations performance wise going in. We were just kind of excited to be a part of it, and excited to be afforded the opportunity to be a part of it. So it's a chance to compete with some super, super high level teams. I was personally taking a ton of notes on, what they did that I liked, and, oh, we should do this because, this clearly showed they were successful doing this. So we learned a lot from it. But it was also just so much of an awesome experience that this year, that's their goal as a team. They want to go back. So, um, it was a really, really big push as far as the like morale and just team environment as a whole. They to know that we could get there, that we've
Yeah.
done it before. So it's a really big motivator as well. So it was just an awesome experience.
Yeah. So you talked about the growth and, some of these accomplishments like playing your first regionals, playing your national championship for the first time. What do you think this does, or what do you think this means, overall for your program to see, the growth and some of the accomplishments your team has had, over, the past few years?
Yeah. Yeah, the growth of the program is one of the reasons I initially joined the team as a player. So to see it as a coach now as well is even more special. I don't think there's maybe been 1 year that we didn't improve overall as a team, and it was by a very small margin. So to see the caliber of players that we're bringing on is heightened. We're getting more attention. People are taking us more seriously. We joined D2 and we went D2 in 2017.
Okay.
So it's been a short kind of turnaround to be super competitive and be one of the teams that people know can play. So we had to prove ourselves to get here, and we'll probably continue to have to prove ourselves. But it's super awesome to see just the growth of the program and the resources the school has been able to provide us with the turf room. We reallocated some space for that. We had a donor donate us our simulator because they thought just our programs were awesome. So it's been super cool to be a part of that and to kind of see how it's like, oh, how far can we go, how successful can we be? Let's sky's the limit.
Yeah. So let's talk about, your start in golf, coach. You grew up in Michigan yourself. Just tell me about growing up in Michigan, how you got started playing golf, and just some of your earliest, golfing memories from when you got started playing.
Hello. Okay. Um, so I'm from the east side of Michigan originally. So now I'm on the west side, but I grew up on the east side, about an hour outside of Detroit. So I grew up playing softball. I didn't really play golf all that often. My dad golfed, my grandpa golfed, and my grandma took me on her golf leads, to drive the cart and just kind of hang out with her. So that was my first kind of experience with golf, aside from, going on vacations with my family. Occasionally we'd rent some clubs and go to a course. But other than that, I didn't play competitively until high school.
Okay.
So it was mostly a leisurely start to golf for me. I didn't take it really seriously. I thought I was going to play softball in college. So I didn't really consider it. And I joined the golf team because I lived near the practice facility and I needed credits for gym class. So I said, okay, well, I've golfed before, so let's do it. That was the first year. I was not good, but it was where I learned that I really, really enjoyed the sport as a competitive sport versus just like a leisurely sport. I enjoyed the competitive side of it, which I never thought I would. So just simply trying to get out of gym class got me into golf, and it kind of took it and ran from there. I like I said, I didn't start out very, very good, but my junior year, I quit softball. I decided, golf is the way to go for me. So I had already started looking at schools for softball. Ironically, Davenport was one of the ones that I looked at for softball and then that I was in communication with. So I just said, I think I even asked the softball coach for the golf coach's contact information, was like, I'm switching sports. So it was kind of an interesting start as far as coming to Davenport, but I was one of the later starts for competitive golf, and so I'm seeing that more and more often as I go on here and I do some more recruiting. I'm seeing girls like me who started. They didn't start when they were 6. Everybody starts at different ages, different skill levels, um, and that's kind of the cool part about coaching for me is getting to learn that, hey, like there are other people that started where I came from and able to relate and learn from different experiences.
Yeah.
So
So, for you, what was the transition like? You mentioned you played softball and then you transitioned from softball to golf, for college. What was that transition like? And then just tell me about growing up, playing multiple sports like softball, and golf and what that was like for you.
yeah, they're very, very different sports in the aspect of team environment. So the golf team I felt was pretty chill. We golf's a slower sport. It's individual more often than not. So um, it takes a lot longer, and there's no running typically. So it's a little bit more of a relaxed kind of environment. I feel at home on the golf course. And then transitioning from softball to golf was the hardest part of every year because of the two different swings. They're very similar, but there's certain aspects of, a golf swing and a baseball swing or a softball swing that are very slightly different, but make a really big impact on how you actually hit the ball. And so that played really a huge part into my decision as well, deciding where I was going to go with my future. Okay, I have to make the decision because I have to be able to focus and perform on a certain level for either one of those. Um, and I was never a very good hitter in softball, anyways. So I focused mostly on my golf swing. And I remember there very clearly. There was just one day I was at a softball practice, and I made like in my head, I was like, I'm done with softball. I wasn't prompting the thought. I was just like, I just want to play, like I wanted to be on a golf course. So for me, it wasn't too difficult besides the leaving my team aspect. My dad and I, that was something that we did together. He was one of my softball coaches in my travel team. So that was a hard thing to tell him, like, hey, this chapter is over earlier than maybe you thought it would be. So there was a lot of, personal struggles with that. But as far as switching sport wise, I thought it was really, really beneficial to have multiple sports that I have played. It's something when I'm talking to recruits or incoming athletes that are saying, oh, I quit, this sport just this year, but I played it all this time. It's like, great. You have to be able to differentiate. Again, I go back to the overuse injuries. If you're not using all the rest of your muscles, basketball, you use different parts of your body for basketball. You're running, you get cardio. Um, Oftentimes in golf, like I said, you're not running, you're using different aspects of your body and learning different movements. So I think it's really beneficial to have uh, grown up with multiple sports under my belt. It just gave me, one, a different team environment. Softball's loud, very, very enthusiastic, kind of like little bursts of energy here and there, whereas golf is just more relaxed. And so it helped me be a more rounded athlete and person. So I would, you know, recommend that. I always tell some of the younger golfers that I meet, like, just keep playing your other sports too. You don't always have to be on the golf course. And we still have girls on the team that pick up their old sports too and have little pickup basketball games, or just go out and play catch out on the field or something, just to kind of relax. And so it's good to have that mix.
Yeah. So coach, you attended Davenport. Just tell me, what drew you to Davenport and just talk about, how was your time, attending Davenport and playing college golf, and how was, your experience, getting to play college golf at Davenport.
Yeah, most of what drew me to Davenport, and I'm still a big believer of this, is the academic program. So I wanted to go into business. I knew that from, like my freshman, sophomore year of high school. I wanted to do marketing. I wanted to do, something creative, but still in the business realm. So I started looking for business schools and, close by, close to my house. I'm probably about a 2-hour drive from my parents' house right now. So still
Okay.
far enough to where I'm away. I'm like away at school, but I still have that safety net to go back. And I'm an only child, so that was very important for me to be able to have that kind of drivable distance between us. So that was something that I focused on, location, but mostly the business program. And then obviously, I was, interested in playing on a sport here as well. So started with softball, but ended up with golf. I thought it was super awesome that we were going to be transitioning from an NAIA school to a higher level. And I've always really valued being a part of a program that has those abilities to develop. I didn't want to go into a program where either, it was already so high level that I would never see playing time, but I was there, it's like, well, no, I wanted to be able to contribute to a program, and be a part of that growth process. I thought it was really important for, developing as a person for me as well. So I met with Melanie, she and I gelled in coaching. As a coach, she was really awesome for like my personality, my playing style. She knew when to, give me the tough love that I needed, but also when to kind of just give me that encouragement and empower me to do it. And so having all of those things together and being close to home, business program, liked the coach, and it was a growing program as well. I was like, yeah, I fit right in here. You kind of feel it right when you walk on campus. Oh, this is where I'm gonna be. And so it was mostly like a feelings thing. I looked at some other schools, but I started just comparing all of them to Davenport. And so it's like, okay, that's probably the school for me then if I'm just comparing it all to this one school that I really like.
Yeah. So coach, you were talking about, business at Davenport and how that was, what drew you to, big point of what, drew you to Davenport. So, is Davenport known pretty much for its business program?
We're really well known for our business program.
Okay.
All of our programs within business. We have a lot of employment guarantees too. So
Okay.
that's a really big draw. So it's not just the typical employment guarantee either. It's employment guarantee in your field, which I think is awesome. So a lot of our programs have that. Then we also have constantly developing new programs. Another new big thing that we're known for, especially in West Michigan, is our nursing program. We have a simulation lab that has, I mean, everything from like a pregnant patient to infants, like real like simulation where you're not having to go in with an actual patient, and so it
Mhm.
prepares them a little bit more than just your average classwork, which I think is super cool.
Okay.
Not my realm of study, but it's super cool to see what kind of opportunities they have to actually, prepare themselves. And then just the global network. I mean, when I lived in Tennessee, I met several people that went to Davenport. It's a super awesome, well known, like I said, online. I think a lot of people think about I don't know how to turn that off. A lot of people think about the online portion of Davenport. Um, Now, being here as a coach, I people more often associate it with the Grand Rapids main campus, which is awesome.
Okay.
But when I started at Davenport as a student athlete, whenever we were traveling, people often asked us if we were from Iowa because of Davenport, Iowa, and they often asked us like, "Where do you practice?" I thought it was only an online school. So just to see that, you know, that difference, and knowing that Davenport is being more known, not just for the business program and for the nursing program and for our new innovations in certain types of education, but for athletics as well. So um, we're mostly known. We're known a lot in this area though for our athletics, for
Mhm.
various different teams that are super successful.
Yeah. So then finally about your time at Davenport, just tell me about what were some of your favorite moments or, what did you enjoy most about, getting to play college golf at Davenport?
Honestly, one of the biggest things was just having a team. So like I said, I'm an only child, so I didn't have siblings that I grew up with. And so I had friends obviously, but it's not really the same as having, a bunch of people your age that are all together. You're all there for one goal. It's almost like a forced friendship, but but it was more of a family environment, it felt like. So I really, really loved that I had people to fall back on. And they were incredible people, incredible teammates, and mentors, even like the leaders on the team. So I really valued like the connections that I was able to make, um, just being a small part of a bigger thing, a bigger program. And then I really enjoyed, honestly, the travel and the actual opportunity to play competitively. If if you pay the greens fee recently, and it's sometimes it's like, oh, like, do I really want to go play? Well, yes, I want to go play, but being able to do that with my friends and to have my coach there with me and to be feeling like I'm accomplishing something and I'm able, like, this is something I'm going to look back on and be like, wow, I was able to do that. That was the main thing. I'm just grateful that I was able to was afforded the opportunity to play competitively. Something that some people never get to do. So being able to kind of just enjoy that experience, no matter how it went, no matter how I played, being there with my team was the main thing. And I still feel like that as a coach, just being able to take them to the different tournaments and being able to, be there at practice every day. That's one of the main things that is like the most amazing part of the sport, because it is an individual sport, but having those connections as like a team is the main goal of the program.
Yeah. And now transitioning into your coaching career, tell me, what drew you to become a college coach? Like when did you decide that you wanted to become a college coach? And just how has your experience been coaching so far?
Yeah, coaching has definitely shown me a different kind of side of the athletic experience. I've coached kids before, like kindergartners, elementary school students. Typically speaking, they're not thinking about their futures and where they want to, their goals in the sport. So it's a little bit different experience from that, and it's a lot more of the mental side of things, which I really enjoy. Um, what drew me to coaching though is mostly that I missed my team. I missed having involvement in the sport. I moved away for a couple of years for my career, but we ended up back here. So I just got coffee with Melanie and was talking with her, and she said, "Well, I don't have an assistant coach for this year." So I wasn't even really thinking about it. And I said, "Oh, like, I actually think I have time in my schedule for that. That would be awesome." So I joined as an assistant coach, just kind of from getting coffee with my former coach. And um, ever since then, once I started getting more involved in it, I said, wow, I could see my career being this. I've always wanted to do something in education, in like development of people, just kind of guiding, mentoring. I've always felt like that's one of the areas I'm passionate about in life. So being able to kind of merge those two things, my passion for golf and my love of, seeing people thrive and learn and grow into well-rounded, awesome people. That's kind of what coaching is. You're melding those two things together, and just being able to give back to the sport because I'm really grateful for the opportunity I was given. So, and the experience I had was amazing. So to be able to give that back and show, what I love about the sport and to my athletes is one of the best parts of it.
Yeah, that's really great. So finally, coaches, tell me, what do you enjoy most about being a coach, especially at Davenport, your alma mater, and then just tell me how special coaching is to you.
Yeah, I really enjoy being like a supporter of my team members, the connections I'm able to make with them, continuing even after they're not on the team anymore, and being a small part of their development as a human being is awesome. Just being able to see them thrive and grow. It's one of my most proud, moments when you see someone hearing what you were just talking about with them and them having that realization and seeing success from it, and moving through those tougher times and seeing them come out on the other side, stronger, better, wiser. That's probably the best part of coaching. It's the thing I most enjoy about being a coach is seeing those realization moments sink in, and seeing them develop as people, and just becoming just more well-rounded human beings is the best way I can put it. That's the main reason I coach, and it's uh, something that I look forward to every practice, seeing those little tiny moments of realization, those little tiny learning experiences, and knowing that maybe one day they'll look back and like want to give back to the sport because they had such an awesome coach too. Like that's the main goal. That's how sports progress is, how do you get a coach without having love for the sport? So being able to continue that's pretty awesome.